What's up? My name's Glue Boy, and this is going to be the first entry into a series where I go through the Warhammer 40k factions that you're able to play on the tabletop and give you a rough overview of their lore, rules, some fun stuff about them, and other interesting bits that I find over research. And for this particular one, I'm excited for, being our first episode, because this is an army I play and love. It's the Black Legion. The kind of poster boys for the Chaos Marine faction. Like, I'll be completely honest, I love these guys, but like, they're just the Ultramarines of Chaos. But we'll get right into the history and origins of this faction.
Chorus of 1,000,000,000 throats will cry your name in fear and hatred. The stars themselves will run red with blood. If you have the courage for it. War Master.
So, the Black Legion were not originally called the Black Legion. Back in the days of the Great Crusade and before that, they were the Luna Wolves, named as such because they had some great big cool victory on Luna, Earth's moon, as they renamed it. And then later, during the events of the Great Crusade, where Horus was given the position of War Master, they got renamed again. They were renamed to the Sons of Horus, in honor of their Primarch, who they loved. Because a big source of pride for the Luna Wolves / Sons of Horus was how cool their Primarch was. Because they honestly did have, the coolest Primarch, the best one, because, that was his role. So he could fall and be way more sad because the coolest guy ever just, fell to the bottom. And because of that loyalty, most of the Sons of Horus were gladly serving next to their Primarch when he turned traitor. And there were a few characters who weren't really into it. Main one being Garviel Loken. Love this man. He's so cool. Read the Horus Heresy books, honestly. First 2 books, phenomenal. Some of the best 40k books out there. And another prominent character I should mention is Ezekiel Abaddon, who would later be known as Abaddon the Despoiler. One of the big bads in 40k. But primarily at this point, he's first captain, and first captains of the Space Marine Legions are always Terminator squads. And Terminators are Space Marines in bigger armor. They're like walking tanks. They can carry giant guns, and it's real hard to shoot them, but they're a bit slower. But after Horus got his ass kicked by the Emperor, and the Emperor was put on his golden throne, all the traitor legions ran off into the Eye of Terror, as the Loyalists, royally pissed at what happened to the Emperor, went on to lead a giant crusade called the Great Scouring, where they went planet to planet, killing all traces of these legions. And just finding all of their fortress worlds and anything they've taken over and killing all of them. So all these traitors had to run all the way to the Eye of Terror and go right into the warp and inhabit these planets that made no sense, and going into a realm where time and space itself didn't really need anything. Laws of physics, who needs that? It's the Immaterium. And so actually a lot of the Chaos Marines, there's a good chunk of them that have been alive since Horus Heresy. They've been alive for 10,000 years, which is why you see a lot of big characters in the Horus Heresy show up later. But regardless, the key one being Abaddon, like I mentioned. Abaddon, after he went into the Eye of Terror, kind of saw how everything was going. All of the traitor legions then, while in the warp, started fighting each other and doing a lot of backstabbing. A lot of them were just kind of dicks, honestly. And so he just, left. He took his flagship and just ran off, left his legion, let them go deal with their own thing. As the Sons of Horus stagnated, Abaddon studied planet to planet, figuring out what the warp was and doing a lot of soul searching. And after the events of 2 really good books, which I'm not going to spoil and go crazy into detail to, because I don't have the time. Just read those books. They're some of the reasons I really love the Black Legion so much. A few members of other legions decided, enough's enough. Abaddon could probably fix this. They went out to go find him. And when they did find him, he deemed it necessary to re-enter and take over the Legion again. But this time under a new name and under a new banner. Because Horus failed. Horus is dead. So they need something new to rally under and to fight back against the Imperium and kill the Emperor of Man. So renamed the Legion the Black Legion. And a big thing he did was open its just doors to anyone. Any loyalist or traitor Space Marine can join the Black Legion. You shed your armor, don the black armor, and you just dedicate yourself to Abaddon and want to go kill the Imperium real good. And that's honestly a big thing I really like about the Black Legion. Because all throughout the ranks of them, they're like Thousand Sun, World Eater, even some loyalists. There could be some Blood Angels or even some Ultramarines in there. I think it's a super cool concept of chaos itself organizing under a banner. Because the big thing with Abaddon, he really hates the infighting and just how a lot of the other legions act. So they act as an actual fighting force, which is rare for the forces of chaos because, as the name implies, they don't really like working together. The main thing that they all at least work together towards are Abaddon's Black Crusades, which are giant crusades where he goes out under just one reason and tries to go kill the Imperium of Man. Each one is just the end goal he wants is to get to Terra and rip the Emperor off the Golden Throne. There's a lot. There's 13 to be exact. The one that matters is the 13th Black Crusade, the Fall of Cadia, where Abaddon destroyed Cadia and destroyed some warp-preventing pylons that were on the planet and allowed the Eye of Terror to expand, which is honestly one of the biggest losses the Imperium has faced. It messed them up. And that's another reason I like Abaddon. He makes the Imperium struggle. Honestly, there's a lot of memes that he's useless. He's not. That's just writing as being the bad guy in a setting. He has to lose a lot. But at least with the 13th Black Crusade, he's real cool. I like him a lot in that. With all that lore out of the way, I think we can get right to the rules.
I'm going to kill you and then kill you again.
How does this army exactly play? Well, for their actual Legion rule, they have two things they get. First one, you ignore all combat attrition, which to be honest, honestly, with how 9th edition is, it's very rare unless your enemy's building for it that you have to really deal with leadership and morale stuff, unless you're playing some chaff. But as a Space Marine, I feel most of the time, in my experience, it barely came up. The other one is really good. Towards the closest enemy unit or someone you've charged, you get +1 to hit. So all of your Space Marines are kind of consistently hitting on 2s, which means they're getting more hits in. So your damage output's already a little higher. As well, they got some really fun stratagems. Some of which, it's fine. Tip of the Spear is super situational. The actual stipulation and the best chance to use it is so specific. In my experience playing Black Legion, I haven't used it yet. Another really fun one is the Confluence of Traitors stratagem. Just for a CP, once per game, that's the important part, you get to elect a unit and change their Legion trait. Which, to be honest, a lot of the Legions have some really good ones. Iron Warriors have a phenomenal Legion trait. And the one I've used most is the Red Corsairs. Because Advance and Charge, sometimes you need that extra movement to get in and actually start the fight. I wish it wasn't once per game, but I think it's a really fun thing that ties in with the fact that the Black Legion is a bunch of other soldiers from other backgrounds joining together, and their tactics kind of meld into this force. Another really good one is Heralds of Doom, which is a lightened version of a previous stratagem, where for one Legion, they turn off OBSEC around them. So you're kind of just spending command points for victory points. That's a really good sell. Which, speaking of victory points, I truly believe that their faction secondary is great. Because all it is for Despoiled Dominions is it's a better Raise the Banners. It's a Raise the Banners that can get you more points and also mess up the enemy's actions that they are doing on points. Every time I used it, I got some good points from it. It was always the secondary that took the most victory points from me. So I think it's worth it. And as well, with how the rules are actually written out and other stratagems in the book, you're going to want to take small groups, Chaos Marines, or stuff that consistently hits on 3s. As well, Terminators work really well in this, as one of the current meta picks is 10, like a 10 block of Chaos Terminators with Power Fist, because you're negating their like hit penalty. So you have some like really terrifying Terminators working up. It's real good. Also, when it comes to building your list for this, bring Abaddon. Right now, he is like the scariest model in the game. Every single time I've brought him, like the tactic is to feed him like shit units or ignore him, because anything that man touches is just dead. People are actively scared of him for good reason. And I really like Harken World Clamor. I think his lore is phenomenal. His whole like raptor, like heralding the doom of a planet. Like, you should read his wiki page. It's phenomenal. But like, you only can bring one Chaos Lord in the faction. It's him or Abaddon. Just bring Abaddon, to be honest. Unless you're playing a very casual game and you just really like this character, I don't see the use. But primarily a big thing is you have a very consistently solid Chaos list. While some others specialize in some more specific things, Iron Warriors and killing like large toughness and like vehicle stuff, Night Lords causing fear in the area and causing a lot of morale checks. Black Legion are just really solid and consistent. It's the reason they're one of the most top performing Chaos Legions currently in tournament play. They're just overall really solid. And at least a fun little thing I'd recommend if you're bringing a Chaos list, I recommend bringing a Master of Possession and some Obliterators, and then with Abaddon having a little squad roll up, because like Abaddon, real fun thing about him, he only takes 3 wounds a phase. And the Master of Possession is able to cast 2 really fun spells that I'd recommend. Can give 5-up Feel No Pain to your Demonkin models, and is able to bring back a dead Demonkin model and heal a D3 Mortals. So bring back one of your Obliterators that got killed and heal Abaddon for the little bits of damage that actually made it through. I took this into a local tournament, and honestly, that part of my list fared super well. So I'd recommend that. It's also super fun. I love Obliterators. They're a phenomenal unit. Love them to death. But that about wraps it up. Black Legion, I personally recommend. I think they're super fun. Of all of the ones in the Codex, I think they're my favorite rules-wise. And there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. With that, like, subscribe, hit that bell, do all that shit. And I'll come at you like next week with another faction video. We'll see what it is. I still don't know.